Hello everyone, this is Club 10M Plus's exciting new podcast that's here for you. We are all about stories, new developments and learning about individuals. Our hope is that you will join us every week to hear about our distinguished guests. We hope to inspire you, bring you laughter and make you reflect. Our guests come from all walks of life and primarily they want to share their stories. Not sure about you, but I love a good story. So Club 10M Plus have devoted their time to creating these podcasts, to sharing great ideas and stories and much more. So tune in every week to make sure that you don't miss out. It could be you next week. Want to know more? We want to hear your stories. So sign up and be our next guest. And good morning. I'd like to welcome Paul Griffiths this morning, who is Head of Europe for Alexander Peter. And I'm delighted today, Paul, to be listening to you to tell me where I'm going wrong for my retirement. I think this is something that most of us do not think about and don't actually want to worry about. So over to you, Paul, and welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Krista, for that wonderful introduction. Yes, so the subject of retirement planning is being talked about for decades, a couple of 100 years and more probably. But more often than not, we do go about it the wrong way. And, as a result, guys like me do have a job. We spend many hours, many years to study, learn, and become experts of giving you the right advice. But before we get onto that very specific subject, just a little brief about myself. I've been involved in the international financial advice industry for over 12 years now, having started my career back in Manchester, United Kingdom. And certainly over the years, I found some very, very good things, not so good things, and being able to help so many different people. I was never always a financial advisor. My family background is we are restaurateurs in the hospitality industry. Found myself washing up in my mum's restaurant at the age of 11, learning the ropes all the way through the kitchen, front of house. And by the time I got to 22, it wasn't just, wasn't for me. Wasn't for me. It was more the unsociable hours that killed it for me. But I did find a gift. My gift was talking to people, new people. And you're giggling there,
Like
Krista.
most of us
Lovely.
then. Like most of us.
Indeed, indeed. It is through this form of communication that we prise open, people's ideals, emotions, understandings, so on and so forth. So I did have that gift, so to speak, and then went into sales to develop my skills before embarking onto financial services some years later. Um, so look, 12 years into this, and yes, I do head up the European operations at Alexander Peter Wealth. We are a global company providing financial planning advice, wealth management right across the spectrum. The big thing we are looking at the moment, of course, as we have been over the last couple of years, is ethical investing. That is a very core part of what we do, and it's also very important to retirement planning as well. And we have a very strong ESG policy in place when looking at ethical investing. So certainly to our listeners, if that is at the core of what you're trying to achieve yourself with your assets, then certainly we'll be here to provide you with second opinions, reviews of any kind, any services you might need. Okay. Now, financial planning in retirement. It's an interesting subject. I find it wonderfully fascinating, whilst others find it wonderfully boring. Okay. It is a subject matter that most people will sweep under the carpet until they reach 55 and beyond. There is a lot of stigma around it and a lot of not right now. So kicking the can down the road, which is, as we've seen with financial crisis, kicking the problem down the road isn't always the best thing. So actual retirement planning starts at a very early age. I would say it can start as early as your 20s, but we are trying to more and more, what should we say, we are finding more and more those in their mid 30s and beyond actually starting to talk about it, which is great because this has been part of the education within both the UK industry and certainly the international industry. Okay. But what is retirement planning? Some might say it's about making sure you've got enough money, right? When you've stopped working. That is certainly an integral part of retirement planning. But you also got to understand what does your retirement actually look like. So we're then talking about your holistic side. Do you want to make sure you work hard and get that mansion that you want? Or are you happy with a two up, two down, and you just want a safe and comfortable life? Or is it a case that you want to be those grandparents that want to take your grandchildren away a lot on summer holidays? You know, is it going to be the first 10 years of your retirement will be your most expensive before then you slow down because of old age and you're taking cod liver oil for your joints, right? So we're all going to get there eventually. So it is all of that, okay? So really from an early age, it is what we call a fluid moving goalpost. The goalpost does move when it comes to retirement planning. With all the best wills in the world, when you look at the long term, none of us know the future. But so therefore, the best thing we can do is understand what does comfortable look like, or what does one's target look like financially. But
So,
then,
Paul, I'm going to
yes.
stop you there. So, does that mean you have to know what you actually want to do when you retire? Does that
Oh,
help?
ideally, it does help. But I know for a fact that most people don't know the answer to that question until they've,
I don't
I'd
know what I'm going
say,
to have for
reached.
I don't know what I'm going to have for dinner tomorrow. So, you're asking me to look into this future? Okay, carry on. Fair enough.
Well, yes, and for the same token, clients ask us to look into the future in terms about, Paul, how much money are you going to make me? And we have
Yeah.
a very difficult time to answer that very same that question. No, it's not knowing exactly what you're going to be doing. You just need a broad idea. I want to retire. We want to retire to Spain, Paul. What do we need to be earning, or what income do we need to live a good life in Spain? And then our job as advisors is to look at the income index, the expenditure index for Spain as it is now, because the raw data is now. And then we try to account for rising cost of living if it's another 5, 10, 15 years before your retirement, Krista. So it's taking that information that you may know now into consideration and then do a cash flow model about your current earnings, the current value of your assets, including your pension, and extrapolate that based on a set of assumptions to then give us a result of, right, when you do hit your target age of 65, this is what you could have. And there would be both good and bad scenarios. So we will build in disaster scenarios just in case, let's say you've got 15 years to go and you need to be saving £2,000 a month, right, just to get to your target. We can build in two significant market events along the way, just to give you an idea on what things might look like. Yeah. So with all these
So,
tools, it helps you to get to that
mhm.
point at least.
So with your crystal ball tool, we can actually educate 20-year-olds who could potentially retire at 40 if they planned it properly.
You hit the
Or,
nail on the head there. It's about education. Had I know what I know, had I know 20 years ago, what I know now, I won't be sitting with you. I'd be sitting on a beach somewhere. I would have bought, say, I know it's easier for us all, we can all say this, but the conviction of buying and holding assets, we could all buy, say, 1,000 shares of Microsoft, 1,000 shares of Apple, 1,000 shares of Amazon, right? And we'd be happy along with everything else. Property is another part of retirement planning. In my early 20s, I could have bought 1, 2 properties, but no, I'm young. I went out and I spent all my money and enjoyed life. But yeah, so many things that youngsters really today should be looking out for. Now, granted, the situation now for a 20-year-old is certainly different to when I was 20 in terms of access to the housing market. In terms of where stock prices were perhaps on some of these very large blue chips. But does that mean that 20-something-year-old now can't try to achieve the same goal? No, it doesn't mean that. Of course they can try to achieve the same goal. Might take them a bit longer, but then the philosophy, the principles of doing it has never changed. But you and I both know you have a daughter. She's 20-something. And
don't talk about her.
it's a case of these youngsters don't always want to do that. They want to go out and spend, and you know what? Good for them as well.
I think it's part of growing up as well, Paul, because a lot of us, hindsight's brilliant. But at the time, did we want to listen? Did we actually know what we were talking about? Although we knew it all. I'm kind of, relating to my story because I knew it all. I had it all. And yet, hindsight, I would have done it differently.
Exactly. And if I had the financial education when I was 20, that is also a key factor. I never had financial education at school. Sixth form, college, it was non-existent. I didn't go to university, for my listeners, but I took it upon myself to take examinations from 4 different examination bodies across Europe. My certificates are right behind me. But if they taught these things at school, the youngsters coming through now, they'll be in a far better shape financially, and they can still go out and enjoy themselves. I think that's why we're seeing more 30-something interested in this subject more, as opposed to youngsters, and it's a bit easier for that. Okay. So really, yes, it's making sure you've got the financial assets to achieve what is it you actually want. And advisors like myself, especially in the cross-border arena, we are a global company, so we deal with different nationalities, different countries around the world. But having said all that, the principle of all remains the same regardless of the country. All we have to factor in is things like taxation. Okay, so we've got to understand what that might look like in the country of your residence. Okay, but yeah, look, this subject I can go on and on and on, but this just gives you
we're timed out already, so it's kind of like, Paul, give me one takeaway. That's all I'm asking for today. One takeaway that you could give advice on right now.
Create 3 accounts for yourself. Okay.
3.
So salary comes in. That's your main account. Okay. Your next account is your general savings account in cash, where it's designed for a rainy day, where you can quickly access that money. And your third account will be in the form of either a pension or an investment or both, where you know you're not going to touch it. Okay? The earlier you can do this, the less you'll have to save in the future. But the key point is you must have consistency in doing it. There's no point doing 1 month, 1 year, and then stop for a year and do it again. You have to do it consistently. So yes, 3 account and consistency in saving your money. Okay.
Paul, I want to thank you. Brilliant, brilliant advice. And yes, we look forward to more advice, I think, from Paul going forward on different subjects, because I think this has really been helpful. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Krista, for having me.
Hello, everyone. This is Club 10M Plus's exciting new podcast that's here for you. We are all about stories, new developments, and learning about individuals. Our hope is that you will join us every week to hear about our distinguished guests. We hope to inspire you, bring you laughter, and make you reflect. Our guests come from all walks of life, and primarily, they want to share their stories. Not sure about you, but I love a good story. So Club 10M Plus have devoted their time to creating these podcasts, to sharing great ideas and stories, and much more. So tune in every week to make sure that you don't miss out. It could be you next week. Want to know more? We want to hear your stories, so sign up and be our next guest.